YouTube recently released a chatbot that you can chat with in your studio, in your analytics and YouTube. So today I want to talk about some of those things and something that I discovered while I was talking to it that I think might help my channel get where I want to go faster. AI came out a few years ago and it's changed everything. Every industry has been changed by AI. But I think a lot of creators have tried to see how they can implement it. I know I have. I've used it for idea generation and for title suggestions and even thumbnails and some script writing too, to help me try to understand and use and utilize and save time and all that. And I think a lot of people have messed with that in a lot of ways. Since AI has come out, there's been a lot of controversy in it, especially for creators, where it's kind of unoriginal to use or, just other ethical issues that come up with AI. But whether you love it or you hate it, AI is the future and it's not going to go anywhere. So if we can figure out a way to use this as a tool to help us be more creative, I think it can put us in a good place to where we want to go. So the problem that I've had with AI is I think it's been around long enough to where, new AI comes out all the time and we don't really think much of it. And the problem that I've had, and I'm going to use ChatGPT as the main example since that's the mainstream one that people talk about the most. But when I've used ChatGPT, it always feels kind of generic, and I've tried to use it with my channel, and it's hard to kind of tell my channel what I'm trying to do, and I have to, it's not very, it doesn't relate very well with what I want it to do, and it doesn't integrate well, right? So what I've tried to do before, and I've even had it write scripts for me that have really been pretty bad, and I think it kept me held back for a long time because I relied on it too much. And some of the problems I had was, there was no real, it wasn't me coming out. It wasn't a person at all. And so I think in the scripts, it comes out very robotic and hard to get if you're, hard to relate to if you're watching it. I think I got used to seeing it, and it just kind of got to the point where it's there, it's helpful for certain things, but I'm not going to rely on it too much. So when YouTube released its version, I kind of messed with it a little bit and kind of dismissed it because I didn't want the same experience that I had before with ChatGPT. But I started playing around with it and I started to see some stuff, and I figured since this is from Google, from YouTube itself, maybe it knows some things in the background that other ChatGPT or other chat bots, they can't see. So I started messing with it, and let me show you what I thought was interesting. I asked it some questions about what it knew about the algorithm, and I kind of printed them out here. So I'm going to show you what it told me, what its response was. And this is what it said. It says, "What I know for sure and how I help you. Instead of focusing on a secret algorithm, my analysis focuses entirely on what the audience wants, because that is the central principle of how content gets surfaced. The main goal of the system is to match viewers with the content they are most likely to watch and enjoy. This is what I look at when I analyze your data." So the nice thing about this is that it looks at your specific data. It can see one of the things that it told me, and maybe it's here that I'll read to you, but it said that it can see my analytics in real time, which I thought was cool. And I asked it also if it could see user comments. It said it could. So this is what else it says. It says audience retention or audience satisfaction. It says this is what I look at when I analyze your data. Audience satisfaction, retention, and engagement. If a viewer clicks on your video, do they watch it all the way through? Do they leave a comment or a like? So that's interesting because, there's conflicting, I think there's conflicting stories out there. If we look around on YouTube, there's conflicting information on whether or not, people, if they leave a comment or a like, if that's helpful for the algorithm or not. So I've kind of heard both sides of it. So it is, according to this, and this is all from Google and YouTube, and it says the data point I use, average view duration and audience retention graphs, which are some of the graphs that are in your analytics. When you look at your analytics, it says the higher these numbers are, the more satisfied the viewer was, which suggests the system should share it with more people. So your view duration and your audience retention, if those are higher, that definitely helps if it should push it out to more people, it's saying. And then it says viewer choice, click-through rate. When your video is presented to an audience on the homepage in search or as a suggestion, do they choose to click on it? The data point I use, impressions click-through rate, CTR, this tells us how well your title and thumbnail are working to make an emotional connection with and generate curiosity. So we've known this too, that your title and your thumbnail, your CTR, basically your packaging, they call it, is super important. We knew that already, but it's good to hear it from this that's telling you this stuff too. And then it says the topic relevance, search and suggestions. How effectively are you using your video titles and descriptions to communicate what your content is about? And it says the data point I use is traffic sources, especially YouTube's search and suggested videos, to see if your content is being found by people looking for that specific topic. So it says in summary, I don't have the secret decoder ring, but I have a high-powered telescope that lets me see exactly what your audience is doing and what they're telling us through their viewing behavior. So I thought this was interesting. I also asked it a little more and I said, so look at my data basically and tell me, what do I need to do to get more impressions? Because I think a lot of us have this issue. I know I do, where the problem is I think my videos are doing okay, and the views that I get a lot of subscribers to them. I just don't get a lot of views. So when I look at my analytics, the impressions or the amount of times that somebody sees one of my videos before they click on it, before anybody clicks on it, is an impression. So that is very low from what I can see in my analytics. The CTR on my videos is still kind of low, I believe. Like my highest video right now in the last 90 days is like a 5 point something percent. So I really need to work on that. But I was curious about that too. So I asked it what I was just telling you, and let me show you what it said back. What I asked it was, what is needed from me in my future videos to help YouTube find my audience? I don't want generic advice. I want you to look at what I have and what is working versus what is not. Maybe try to figure out my niche or help me if it's not known so that I can hone in and help the algorithm figure out how to find my people better. I feel like I get a lot of subs relative to the amount of views I get, but the impressions are low, which I'm guessing is an issue of my videos just not being good enough yet. It says, of course, it's going to shine me on and says, that's an extremely insightful diagnosis. I love how polite AI is. You're absolutely correct. A high subscriber to view ratio tells you your content is highly valuable after the click, while low impressions point to an issue with discovery, how the system finds your audience, or packaging, whether your title and thumbnail compel a click. The system is struggling to know who to recommend your videos to because the initial audience signal, the click-through rate, is inconsistent. Here's an analysis of your channel's niche, the main bottleneck, and a 3-step plan to help YouTube's system find your people better. So basically, it gives me kind of 3 steps on what I can do, like an action plan for my particular case. And the first one is to hone your niche. So I guess it wants me to kind of narrow down my niche, and it tells me how I do that is kind of through my messaging, how I title my videos and stuff like that. But and then how I talk in my videos, like who I'm talking to and what I'm talking about, basically. The step 2 is the click-through rate, impressions click-through rate, and it says that this is the bottleneck. This says the data shows your titles and thumbnails are the primary challenge to increasing impressions. So basically, this has told me that in order to increase the impressions that they're giving, that YouTube is giving to my channel, the algorithm, to increase my reach, I need to fix my click-through rate. And I've messed with this in the past, and that's the interesting thing. I have made videos in the past that have been borrowed titles and kind of thumbnails, like you borrow the what's said in the thumbnail, the wording, and I've seen more impressions go out that way. So I think this might be kind of a reason. It says your most successful video has a strong 4.7 CTR. I said 5 a minute ago. It's 4.7 CTR, which is good for general discovery. So I guess that's not even high. That's my highest, and that's not even high enough. It says, however, your other strong videos, while high in views, have a lower CTR, 2.8 and 3%. When a video gets shown to thousands of viewers, but only 2 to 3% click, the system concludes that the video is not relevant to those viewers and stops showing it widely, resulting in low impressions. So to me, this was kind of eye-opening. It has a third step, an action plan for my future videos, and it kind of talks about my current approach and then reframing my approach. And it gives me some examples. Like this one is, don't start YouTube before watching this. I think that's one of my previous video titles. And then the reframed approach is, stop wasting your first 6 months on YouTube. Do this instead. So it looks like to change my CTR, I just need to work on my titles and thumbnails to get better. So I'm going to start implementing. I'm going to start trying to see if this is going to get my impressions higher. And if it gets my impressions higher, obviously it's going to get my views higher. But I want to experiment with this in the future and start to put more effort into it. It's been one of the things that admittedly I have not put a lot of effort into in the past, where I've kind of here's the thing that I feel like throws me off with it. When I put a video out, I want to make the video kind of what I'm doing. I don't want to make it clickbait. I don't want to try to scheme somebody into clicking into the video. So I have experimented with it in the past, but a lot of times it doesn't feel right or whatever. But using this strategy, I think I'm going to take my ideas that I have and see how I can just make the titles more engaging or more appealing to click on. And it really is, it's human psychology. It's not that I want to trick people into clicking into the videos. I want to give good value and information in the videos, but I want to make it more appealing to where people will say, "Oh yeah, that looks like a decent video." So the video itself, I want that to be good, obviously, but I also want people to click in, because if I make a good video, but nobody ever sees it, what's the point of that? So all that to just say that uh, I think it's on to something. I think that what I have, I've tried, I've tried this in the past, but what my channel needs right now at this point, I believe, is higher click-through rates, better titles, better thumbnails. So I'm going to start this side of the journey, and I'll update you maybe when I find out some more data on it. But I'm sure that, using the analytics that are built into this chatbot that YouTube has put out there, it looks like this can actually be pretty helpful as it sees your data in real time. It sees your comments, it sees everything, and being able to analyze that and ask a question. And I asked it also, the one of the other things I asked it was, how is my channel trending? And it was very positive in that, and it said, looking at your last 90 days, and it showed me my percentages of higher view counts, higher subscriber counts, and all that. And and it said that I was doing really well, and it showed numbers and all that. I don't have the number data right here, but it was very encouraging to see that, and to see it be able to talk to the analytics, which in the past, before this was introduced, and I think it was like a month or so ago that I got this, that now I can see this data better, or I can talk to the data, or I can find out the data without having to search through it. So it's another tool that I can use, that you can use too. I think it's in beta, but I'm pretty sure just about everybody has this at this point. So play around with it. See what you can figure out. See, where maybe you can run with yours, and ask it kind of. I've found that since the algorithm kind of works towards what people want to see, it's more of figuring out what people want really, and trying to use psychological things, like ask it sort of psychological questions, like, what are people looking at? Why are they looking at these types of things? Just kind of understanding what makes a better video, or a better thumbnail, or better way to present to people. Better, ultimately, just make something that people want to see. So these were my findings. I thought it was kind of interesting, and I thought it could be beneficial to you, because I haven't seen a lot of videos on this out there. So hopefully I can start making some good titles and thumbnails, and we'll see if that helps. Thanks for watching.